Hey, wait a minute. Hey, folks, John Duffin here, Duffin Media, Duffin Coaching. Guess what we get to do today? We get the chance to hang out for a little bit right here, whether you're watching me on Facebook Live. Hey, now, great to see you all. Whether you're watching me on LinkedIn Live, again, hey now, and on YouTube Live, we're right here. What do we get to do today? I get the chance to optimize your communications by leveraging your voice. And as I do that, the way I'm going to do this is to drop a few top tips in regards to making certain that you are, I'm checking it. There you go. I am checking on my own. There you go. LinkedIn is now firing in right now, as a matter of fact. So I think I kept you waiting for a moment. What do I get to do? I drop some top tips, proven top tips, where I've seen them, I've created them, I've observed them, I've curated. And today, those top tips, you pay attention to them, you utilize them. Here's one of the cool things that you will get to do. So right away, Allie Connor, Stephen Heiser, we're here. Well, I'm thrilled that you're here. Here's what happens. If you get the opportunity to use any of these tips as early as this afternoon or tomorrow or this week, I can assure you, you're going to be able to deliver a better business conversation, whether it's a presentation, whether it's with one person, whether it's with a group of people. What we're looking to do here is to become an effective storyteller, and an effective storyteller garners attention, keeps people engaged, because we're all about authenticity here. So I'll tell you what, let's get right to it. I want to go to one of my favorite questions, not because I created it, but simply because I like the way that it rolls, right? So typically I'll ask the beginning of any conversation, right? I'm asking you, have you ever had a conversation, a presentation, or an encounter in business, hell, in life, where you thought you were killing it? You thought things were going great. You did all your homework. You dressed real nice. But the feedback you were getting wasn't at all in alignment with what you were hoping for. You know that sense where you start to get that sinking feeling that things are not going your way? And you can't figure out why. That's the rub. You cannot figure out why. Well, we're going to cover a little bit of that today. And the fact of the matter is, sometimes it is your voice, and your voice will convey or let you down. So the fact of the matter is, it's your voice, it's your demeanor, the way that you speak. I don't mean like an orator. I mean, the fact of the matter is, it's not being an orator, it's being your best, most true, authentic self. Thank you for that. We've all been there, I'll say. I certainly have. So, as I said, you ain't alone. You ain't alone. Here's what I would love to be able to do today, which is this. I'm going to just convey a few tips, right? And the whole thing, what we're looking to do is all improve. What's the purpose of today? Storytelling. Any conversation, casual, business, personal, important. The fact of the matter is, storytelling becomes critical. Conversations where you're looking to motivate people, help people, or encourage people to do something, hear you out, be heard, be listened to. Here's what often happens. And as you see, I immediately went to a slide. Here's the deal. We're focusing on business, but this is applicable anywhere. Zoom, telephone, in person, one person, groups of people. Who has presented information before? I'm raising my hand. I certainly have. Have you been in a position where you've had to present detail that requires showing someone something, or you feel that you have to show someone something, a PowerPoint presentation, a keynote presentation, artistic visuals, videos. So today, what are we going to do? We're going to get the chance to learn how to tell an engaging story that includes data, handouts, leave behinds. If you're in business, my bet and my guess is that you've got to bring something because you feel that that's your crutch. Today, our big three in terms of storytelling, the ability to be able to craft a story, know the story, for God's sake, know it. And I say tell it, I'm going to say it a little bit better. Share the story. So in your mind, it is imperative that you're able to do this. You're crafting a story, regardless of what material you're gathering. What we're trying to avoid is making certain that you are not hiding behind data, visuals, videos, because we need you. We literally need you. The fact is that's the biggest part. Well, I'll tell you what, crafting's the toughest part. I hear you, Rosalie, and thank you for being here. But I'll tell you what, you know what often can be the hardest part? Getting in front of the material. Leading with you. Because remember, all of this is to amplify the fact that people do things when they feel things. I promise you, graphs and charts and pivot tables and 30 videos are not typically what are going to drive people. Just curious for the fun of it, right? Give me in the comments, give me a clue. By the way, as I keep like frantically flipping, give me a clue. Have you ever, anyone ever, delivered a presentation and the PowerPoint slides were so compelling that people did what you wanted them to do? Buy something or progress a relationship. Your slides were amazing. And because of all that detail that you put on there, we're going to go ahead. So I'll tell you what. I love that the answer is yes, Rosalie. I love that. But I'll tell you what, I'll bet it's fewer times than you realize. So when I talk about craft the story, know the story, share the story, my job today is to make certain that I'm reminding you that they're often buying, deciding, moving forward with the storyteller, not just your reams of data. Okay? It is really important to me to make certain that you know that you're the optimum part of the story. Okay? So I'm going to ask you a question, right? So can you read the detail on this slide? Here, let me help. I'm going to go with the top line first, okay? 0001110-001. All right. Who has ever suffered, I'll say, through a presentation like that? The operative word is suffer. I came from several different media companies. They were all great. The fun part was we had a plethora. Is that the word I want? Maybe. A plethora of choices in regards to data to convince you, to get you to do something. Whether you were a major automotive advertiser or a mobile company or a retailer, it was our job to make sure. And sometimes I felt like we were bludgeoning people with data. So what would we do? Bring in every bit of ammunition we could and hide behind it. Okay. Have you, again, I want to go back to now, I think these are formulas, right? But have you ever seen someone slam a bunch of data on PowerPoint slides? And when you see this, if you were a part of witnessing the presentation, does this get you excited? Does this get you fired up? Not me. It freaks me out. It actually scares me because I feel like, oh my God, it's either a vision test or a reading comprehension test, but it never has to do with a story that I can relate to. So, a lot of us, my friend Rosalie works in the financial field, helping families. So, very often, and again, I came from the advertising sales media world. So, we felt as if, I'll say in my case, I'll just speak for me, that often you were creating something. And so you had to justify in your mind the sense of, I've got to show you all the data to that you know how important this is or how important this is for you. So, flat out, I want you to be aware. If you are in any field where data matters, and I'll bet you there's a lot of people that could say that's them. I want you to be really careful in regards to what you are slapping onto a PowerPoint slide. Ah, yeah. My friend Kathy Lee is here. Hello, indeed. Thanks for being here. Look, it's so important that people's attention spans are minimal, right? I'm going to give you an example as to I watched somebody really impressive last week. So I guess it was last week. It was an event from a financial services company. And they invited about 350 people, and I was one of the invitees. So I felt great about that. I could just watch. In fact, I was in the back corner table, as far away as I could possibly be. Who's ever been invited to a wedding and you were sitting at the table by the kitchen? I used to take that really personally when they would shove me into the back corner table. Well, it was kind of like that, but that was my choice this time. I didn't have assigned seating. So I went to the back corner in a way because I didn't know how long I was going to stay. So a colleague of mine and now a friend of mine was delivering information, and she and I communicated before. And I just remember this old adage of which I was able to share. Less is more. Less is more. I'm honest to God, people are not going, they're not even willing, let alone able, to sit through reams of data. Okay. So, well, I don't know where to cut, and I think this is important and that's important. Do you now? So, want a quick tip? Here's another, right? Tip number at least 2. You are responsible for the storytelling and the editing. Think of yourself as a publisher. You're editing this stuff. Do you think when someone writes a book that you are seeing the original version with all the research about? No, because they know in their heart, and if they have a clue, that nobody needs to read or see all of this. Makes a great addendum or a reference. So, what can you do? Again, one former company I used to work with, and I remember doing it at one point. Couldn't fit enough data on the slide. What do? Oh, no. You make the font smaller. And in that way, you can cram more stuff in. In your heart of hearts, do you think anybody is paying attention to that nonsense? They're not. Here's what's happening. And I remember that financial that I was telling you about. I'm going to tell you what was great. And I'm going to make a comparison to another speaker. This person who's now my friend did a masterful job of setting the table, which is this. Instead of reading the data out loud, and again, remember, this is financial, so it's money, it's interest rates, it's a lot of stuff that you can't be expected to memorize. So don't. But the data supports your story. Remember that. The data supports your story. The data is never the story. So, how can you humanize it? Here's a simple tip. Summarize it. When? Before you go through the data. Before you go through the data. It is really important that one of the things that you can do to help somebody be engaged with you and stay with you is let them know up front that you're a good editor. So what do I mean? 500 supporting bits of info. That's a lot. Most human beings don't need to see that. What could you do? Here's what my friend and colleague did, and it was great and masterful. Literally said to the people, I don't expect you to read this all out loud. I'm not going to read it out loud to you. Here's what I'm trying to convey. She came up with about 2 or 3 things that mattered. Found those 2 or 3 things on all the reams of data and pointed to them. What did it do? It first off showed respect for the people that you're speaking with. Right? They didn't ask for all of that. In fact, this event, and I said there was over 350 people there, sold out, beautiful, was at the big fancy pants hotel in Philadelphia, the biggest and the fanciest, right? So the food was great. The people were beautiful. The views were stunning. Your job is not to hold an Irish goodbye. Does anybody know what an Irish goodbye is? See that visual? That's a definition of an Irish goodbye. So another speaker, and sadly, you could watch this happen. People were grabbing. It's winter in Philadelphia. Don't know, folks. Are you guys dealing with winter right now? I guess we all are, technically. Are you guys still dealing with winter? I am. So we all have coats. Big drag at business events. And I'll tell you why. Because you have to go get the coat, which means it delays your Irish goodbye. What's the Irish goodbye? Leave without telling people. Grab your stuff, run to the elevator, and hope nobody's there. I did that in my personal life a lot when I was delivering, let's say, bad behavior. Just split. Don't say goodbye to your friends or your family. Just split, right? Not great. In business, my vantage point was I could watch another speaker is reading all of the information out loud. Same meeting, really nice person. I could feel their nice, kind, cool energy. The problem was they were reading so much financial data, which if it didn't apply directly to you, specifically, if it didn't, a case where it was, oh, would you bring and I could look at this? And by the way, of the 350 people, there was nobody. Oh, nice. I love that you're getting the warmth and the birds and the buds on the trees. I love it. So, but here's the thing. When you're speaking and people are leaving, what do you think that does to your confidence? How do you think you sound? Remember, we were talking about outcomes and your voice. What do you think that does? If you're standing there and you've killed yourself delivering or crafting a presentation, and people are leaving and grabbing their, and you know they're leaving, so they're grabbing their coats and they're taking the souvenirs. I don't mean the flowers on the table, but I mean the tchotchke, so to speak, right? And you're watching that. What does that do to your confidence? Tell you what it does for me. It freaks me out. So I have felt in my life when a meeting was going south. And it's really hard to express confidence when things are not going your way. That's a real skill set. And a lot of that is mindset. And we'll focus on that stuff at another training session. Here's what I'm saying to you: you want to stop that wave of people running like they're running for the school bus? Keep it briefer. Be respectful of people's time and energy. Have the conversation with them. I want to go back literally to that sense of craft the story, know the story. I'll tell you what the most important of all of this is: know the story. Crafting actually can be easy, but the problem is it is death when you are answering assumptions of other people. Oh, I think they'll love this. Oh, I think they'll love that. Oh, I think I'll add this. I think I'll include that. What would make you think that? Okay. I really believe in my heart. I got you. I shouldn't kill you, Kathy Lee. I'm sharing examples. I promise you. I've gotten pretty good at this. So here's what I know: I respect the people that are watching and listening. I know that I could compare two speakers that same day. The one person literally said, I'm not going to read all this out loud, cherry picked some of it, and allowed your eyes to focus on the rest of it. You know, I love that, Kathy Lee. I appreciate that. The truth is, it's really important to align with your audience. One person, two people, 350 people, for instance, right? So the knowing of your story is so important. For me today, I'm even going to repeat my intention today was to share the ability to be able to tell a data-driven story in a way that someone can appreciate, understand, and the end result is not just that they want to go forward with whatever you are asking, suggesting, presenting, proposing, but also that they want to find more of the data, which does support it. So again, there's an expression that I heard, my God, this person was the keynote speaker that day. And Scott Einbinder, if you have ever had the privilege to have Scott Einbinder in your region, he's in my neck of the woods, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania. That's his sweet spot. But Scott speaks a lot of places, and I'm going to steal an expression that Scott has used, which is permission to communicate. I love this. I love it. And Scott, I love it so much I keep stealing it from you. But I'm going to credit you every time I do. What's permission to communicate? Permission to communicate is delivering enough that someone asks a question or asks for more. One of the easiest ways to lose people is to start reading the data. You want to know the biggest reason why? What do you think? What do you think? By the way, sorry about that. I was trying to get your question out. Okay. Kathy Lee, the answer is I did on my podcast, as a matter of fact. I absolutely interviewed Scott. I love him, love him, love him, love him. So you want somebody to stay with you. The whole purpose and point is I want you in front of the story. I don't want you buried in your research. Okay? It doesn't work. Again, I'll repeat. People do things when they feel things, or when they'll do something when they feel something. Your data is cold, and it's nothing more than supporting your story, right? So the reason you need to know the story is you're helping people to get there. I'm going to give you one example that freaked me, to this day freaks me out. I actually watched somebody. They were one of my former colleagues at one of the media companies. So I'm not going to out the person. It was mind numbing. Every single time this person delivered a presentation, they were as surprised by the findings as you were expected to be. Now, this is the person that crafted the story, and this person is acting shocked, right? How about that? We're number one in news. Whoa. Okay. Why are you acting as if this is the first time you were made aware of the material? We, broadcast, ad, digital, get so reliant on our data and our glossy slides, and they look hot, and the data is sourced. Let me tell you the sources and blah, 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 and the survey quantities. And people are like, I don't care. I don't care. And they're checking out and they're grabbing their coats and they're Irish goodbying. The fact of the matter is, it has to matter. Hey, if you remember nothing else today, remember the following with stories. It only matters if it matters to them. So, unless someone has expressly or specifically told you to bring that data, you need to be able to summarize, edit, and position based upon what you do know. Do not throw, slam, bludgeon people with data. Do not literally sit and read it as if we're all going to learn together. You want to get somebody to move forward? You want to get somebody to say, hey, bring me more. Could you do this? Could you customize X for me? If I give you this budget, could you put something together? This is what you want. What you don't want is to be literally reading like story time. Okay? This is fun when you're little kids. It ain't so fun when you're an adult and you've got other things to do, right? Like manage your day, coach your teams. So, folks, one more time, your big 3 tips of the day. Craft the story. The research supports the story. It sure as hell isn't the story. Know the story because you got to get in front of it. You cannot sit and read reams of data out loud, regardless of how fascinating you think it is. Because remember, it only matters if it matters to them, right? So we don't care that you're fascinated. I only care if they are. Help people get through the data, and that doesn't mean read it fast or ignore their concerns or ignore the fact that a bunch of people are grabbing their coats and their tchotchkes and hoping no one's at the elevator so that you could run like hell down the block knowing that you had a great lunch at a fancy hotel, but I digress. Summarize the material briefly, 2 or 3 things. Again, I'm my colleague. Wonderful. Hey, I'm not going to read all this out loud to you. I'll gladly leave it for you. But here's what I'd like to point out. And they literally pointed at a couple of things. Beautiful. Beautiful. Kept you in the game. The person that was reading things out loud, line by line by line by painful line to get to, I don't know, some conclusion. People were grabbing their coats. So don't do it. Okay? Don't do it. And that's all I'm saying is you got an important conversation. You want somebody to work with you somehow. You got to be in front of the story. Share the story. Share the story. Share it in a way that's engaging, that you're in it, that you're on top of this. Okay. And so with that to me are the 3 tips of the day, folks. That's my bet. Well, actually, there's a couple bonus tips in there too. But keep that in mind. The next time you're positioning, presenting, looking to find a constructive way to amplify your intentions. you're including whoever you're speaking to or with, the client, the audience. Find out what their needs are. If you are speaking to an audience, you're talking to the organizers, read the room. A bunch of people grabbing their coats and hightailing it out the door. There's two things that are happening, and neither of them are good. Fire drill, or they've had enough. I watch this sea of people. This happens all the time. By the way, lunch meetings are tough like this one. Folks, that you've hung out with me for a half hour means the world to me. So out of respect for you and your time, I am going to wrap it up. Again, as I said, 3 things today. Craft a story. The story has to matter to them, not you. It has to matter to them. How do you know? Ask them. Find out what their needs are. Craft the story. The data only supports the story. The data is never the story. So you individually get in front of it. 3, as you're sharing the story, make certain that, again, it matters to them. So I am grateful for each and every one of you. I am literally dropping this handy dandy email right in front of you. So here's what I'm offering today. I have, for anyone who has not worked with me yet and is nice enough that you have been on this call, I'm over the moon grateful. Reach out to me, jd@duffinmedia.com. Go to my website, duffinmedia.com. I offer a free 30-minute discovery call to anyone who has not worked with me before. If you have worked with me before, I put absolutely great opportunities for coaching. Always, this is, again, I feel like I want to deliver value. It only matters if it matters to you, right? So know that I'm coming back with more tomorrow. I get to tell another story. I get to craft another story. I better know the story, and I really look forward to sharing the story. So, folks, you need me? You want that free discovery call? jd@duffinmedia.com. Go to my website for other options at duffinmedia.com. Speaking of Duffin, this is John Duffin here, Duffin Media, Duffin Coaching. I am thrilled that you showed up for me and that you gave me the time. And I'm really grateful that I didn't see any of you grabbing your coats and heading out the door. I hope you have a fantastic day, all. Thanks for being with me. Talk soon. Bye.